everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Marketer Podcast. Every single week, we interview deep dive experts in one of the many fields of marketing to drop huge knowledge bombs from the best of the best and teach you how to take your marketing skills to the next level. This is episode 23, and I'm sitting with Justin Brenner, who runs the agency Ignite Your Brand and also runs the marketing community Adleaks along with Tim Bird. Justin has scaled companies from 0 to $1 million in less than a year. He's managed over $1 million in advertising spend a month. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world to help scale and optimize their digital marketing spend. Justin, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, I'm kind of a little intimidated, to be honest. I think you've managed about 100 times the amount of work that I've done in the past. So,
It's
I'm
part
just
of
going to
growing, man. You'll get there. It's part
Well,
of
you know, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to use this as like basically free consulting. I'm just going to ask you a lot of questions that I'm curious about, see if I could get some learnings out of it. So
Go for it. That's how I learned everything, man. I mean, like, I didn't go to school for this stuff. Everything has been either self-taught or how I got started actually was learning from a former really good friend of mine. I actually went to school and I have a master's degree in exercise physiology. So when I started growing up and putting my big boy pants on, I thought I wanted to be like a personal trainer, and I, got all the credentials to go be like an NFL strength coach. And I thought that's what I wanted to do. And then I'd always seen a really, really good friend of mine who was very, very successful, making a lot of money, being able to dabble and do whatever he wants. And I was like, dude, how do I get involved with you? So we got started out in the affiliate marketing space, super duper big affiliate, and went on to start learning that space, which obviously correlates into essentially as an affiliate, you want to drive as much traffic from every different source you can drive. So it was learning everything to be able to complement the offers that we were running. And it kind of blew up from there. So
that's incredibly interesting. You know, I hear that's like a super common story, like for a lot of marketers that have agencies or, work for brands or whatever. Everybody seemed to have started off, kind of in affiliate land for one reason or another. You kind of talk about your experiences there and kind of, I know I've been talking with a number of people that are like, have done affiliates or still done affiliates. It's interesting to see how that marketplace is kind of evolving,
And that's part of like as an affiliate, and it wasn't necessarily my own money, but it was a company with the guy that I worked with. I mean, it was more his money than mine. I didn't own the company, but you obviously treat your own money or your own dealings a lot different than you treat clients' money. And that's been a problem with a lot of the digital agencies out there, in my opinion, is, they hire people straight out of school or, a lot of them didn't go to school for it and they've never actually started spending their own money and dealing with, 7-figure spend. So they get started out playing with other people's money. And I've always tell clients, like when I go in to do sell somebody on something or whatever, I am very different in the sense of I treat clients as like partnerships because I've been in my own experience of dabbling in your own cash flow. So when you do that and you're spending that much money, you look at things completely different. You read metrics completely different. You want to make sure that your spend is like actually turning profit because you don't want to waste your money. Where if you grow up spending other people's money and then it's really not such a big thing, clients come and go, that kind of thing. And that's kind of been the biggest thing. I think why more the affiliate people probably are more successful is because they just treat it. I think everybody that's dabbled in that space treats it completely different.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. The other thing I really like about, kind of former affiliate people that I work with, they're just scrappy. They're like not, when you come like from kind of a more traditional agency background or like, kind of a more traditional marketing background, it seems like, and I don't want to say this is like universally true, but it seems like there's more of a bias to being stuck like in the quote unquote right way of doing things. And then when like a platform evolves, you're kind of stuck there, just empty handed, like, oh, what do I do now? We're affiliates. It's kind of like, oh, platform changed today. Cool. I'm going to change today. Like it's kind of nice. It's definitely an interesting thing.
Yeah. I mean, most of my time is spent, still learning. I mean, somebody asked me today, actually, at the chiropractor's office, he says, I thought about getting into that stuff, but it just seems like there's so much to learn. Like, how much time do you spend a day learning? And it's literally like a few hours a day. I mean, it's a full-time job learning and just training your staff to know what to do and how to do things because Facebook makes an algorithm change. Okay, well, how does that affect the ads you're running? And You just have to constantly be on top of your game. And I think kind of your point is right, is that you are a lot more easily adaptable because you're spending your own money and you don't want to be hit by a big change. So you're constantly testing. Not only that, but like most of the guys that I know, like focus in, one thing, like they're really good at Facebook or they're really good at Google. I'm good at everything. I can build websites. I can do conversion rate optimization. I can do SEO. We have, huge spend for SEO clients. We do Facebook. We do Google. There's really nothing that I can't do. And if I don't know how to do it, I have the mentality of actually I'm going to go out and learn how to do it, and then I'm going to do it 10 times better than the competition until I master it.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like a different mentality. I think it's really a different mindset, the affiliate mindset to the agency. But if you've grown up in that agency world, everything is billable hours, this and that. And yes, I run an agency. I have an agency, but I don't bill hourly for clients. It's a different adapted pay model that's kind of modeled based around the affiliate model to make more revenue as your clients grow as well. So it's just really it's a completely different mindset.
Right. No, it is a different mindset. I think that like, when you're like, and you've worked with some big companies, and so maybe you could speak to this a little bit, but it seems like a lot of the reason that people kind of position that way, and I don't know if it's necessarily, it's like almost like a chicken egg sort of thing, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm the best at Facebook ads or something like that, right? Because big companies going out and they're like, okay, we need to scale into Facebook. Let's find the best Facebook person. And then it like kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you start selling yourself as the best in Facebook, and then all you end up doing is Facebook, and then like you kind of lose the mindset over time. I don't know. Do you kind of see that at all? Do you think that's like a phenomenon that you've observed? Just because it's something that I've seen a little bit here and there.
Yeah, for sure. I think for sure. I think a lot of people also don't stay up on top of a lot of things. And I mean, nobody is the best at anything. There's always going to be someone better than you. And if somebody tells you they're the best at it, then they're full of shit. But I even know, like in my mindset, I know I'm probably top 95%, but there's always somebody out there that's going to spend more, that they're going to work with bigger clients. It's just about how they manage that. And, they might be the best at one thing, but are they well versed? Because anymore, like traffic isn't going to one traffic source. And I think the reason that we have uber success, like with one of our bigger clients that we work with, we got started out just working on their SEO. And I was like, dude, I want your Facebook. Like, I want your Facebook. He's like, nope, nope, I got a guy. He's really, really good. I was like, dude, I guarantee you I'm better than this guy. Like, there's, I'm top tier. Well, sure enough, finally, after like 4 months of pressing him and pressing him, he's like, okay, just take a look and see what it looks like. Took a look and I was like, dude, this is horrible. Like, you could be pulling double ROAS, just, you're not even segmenting your retargeting and doing this and leveraging all these different factors. So then I got his Facebook. Then he saw like how good I was at Facebook, and he's like, okay, well, do you want to do, our Google ads? So then I got his Google ads, and that really helps me to have an omni-channel marketing, because not one person anymore is one touch point conversion. They're looking you up on Google, searching competitors, searching the product, then they get reserved an ad on Facebook. So having more of like a full dynamic approach across all spectrums, I think is what really separates the really, really good marketers from just your average marketer.
No, I love that. And so kind of, I guess like not exactly an affiliate path, but kind of how I got my start, just quick story time was, coming from the tech world, right? And like did the whole venture backed tech startup thing and all of that. And like, it's a very similar situation though, because it's your money and you're sitting there and you're going, I have to get like, nailing my click through rate or something like that. That doesn't help me. I don't, that's neat. It's cool. It's a nice little indicator or whatever, but like I need customers or we're going to go broke and the company's going to shut down. And that's like, a very different mindset than some folks have, and so what you're kind of describing with the omni-channel stuff too, it's so true. As customers become more and more sophisticated, right, where they're, how are you going to handle somebody standing in your retail store googling another product, jumping onto Amazon, and then running down the list of reviews, right? Like that's three very distinct platforms right there, and that's assuming that they've already even come into your retail store. So it's kind of like, do you find like kind of any inspiration from that? Like, I think growth hacking is kind of an outdated term at this point, but that kind of like growth marketing mentality.
I hate the word hacking too. Everybody uses the word hack. It's like, oh, this is a Facebook. It's not a hack. I
I
mean,
hate yeah, hacks are dumb. Don't hack.
you're not going to hack Facebook.
Yeah.
Like they're smarter than. That's why
they,
they're worth a bazillion
they are
dollars.
smarter than me. That is true. I think I got
They're
my
smarter than all
a
of us.
long time ago I applied there and I think they rejected my application in less than 30 minutes. It was pretty impressive.
Really.
Yeah. They were just like, nah, we're gonna move on. We're good. We don't need this. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to work there.
Yeah, well now
You're
I'm
doing bigger and better things. Man.
I'm just a professional Facebook reseller now. But yeah, no, it is really interesting kind of thinking about that omni-channel sort of approach because I feel like it's a thing that a lot of people, sort of ignore. They kind of like push this like silver bullet sort of narrative. You know what I mean? Like Facebook is the best or Google's the best or whatever. Like it doesn't really matter what the client is or what the job is. Like this is the platform that wins. So yeah, tell me kind of, what you think about that and kind of why, a little bit more about this like omni-channel approach you talked about.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's stupid. Number one, like I have a client right now that doesn't want to list on Amazon. Uh, his product would crush it on Amazon, and he's like, "Well, that's going to tarnish my brand." And it's like, well, it's not. I promise you, it's not going to ruin your brand. Like you're not like you're a luxury product, but you haven't built up the status of like your Gucci. Like it's free. Number one, it's free traffic. And it's one of the biggest search platforms out there. Like why wouldn't you want to be on it? And at the end of the day, he doesn't want to because he feels like it's going to tarnish his brand, and I respect that. But it's gonna, maybe one day we'll be able to work into it as we grow more. But I mean, that client that I'm referring to is fairly large. They're mid six figures, going to hit seven figures probably in the next few months. And it's just that mentality. So, like in that perspective, I just look at it and say, like, you probably could be outdoing what you're doing on your Shopify store just on Amazon. Like, you have a great product, you have a cult following. When people buy into it, it's amazing. So I think some people don't understand it, and there's that kind of mentality that it could tarnish things, or they're not willing to test it. But I don't necessarily think one traffic source is better than anything. A lot of the times people look too narrow-minded. Like I see people, like I just read a post in Adleaks yesterday or the day before, like, oh, I optimize off of 3-day and 7-day. Like I optimize most of the time for real brands that we're working with. If it's not like a bullshit product, like I look at 30-day view. I look at delayed attribution, because anymore people don't click and buy first time they see your product. It takes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Google just done a study where they say it takes someone 10 times seeing your ad before the product really resonates and sets in on that. And I even talked to a lot of marketers and say, do you buy an ad? Do you buy something on an ad the first time you see it and you click right away? Well, no, I usually have to see it for a few weeks. Okay, then why are you looking so narrow-minded? So I think, number one, that's part of the problem. People look too narrow-minded. The other thing is they don't really understand the platform, and maybe that's why they're so segmented on one thing, because to really understand SEO, to understand Facebook, to understand Google, they're vastly different. They're constantly changing. So like, how much it is just to keep up with Facebook. How much is it just to keep up with Snapchat, Google, I mean, it's a lot more work. So I don't know if people are intimidated by it, or if a lot of people I know niche down, but I don't believe in niching down either, because I want to be the biggest and baddest at everything. And I don't specifically believe in like, oh, I'm really good at in one specific niche, because I'm sure you would agree, but all of the marketing tactics, whether you're selling lingerie or selling cars, top of funnel, bottom of funnel, I mean, it's all the same strategy. It's just, who do you target and how do you target them?
Yeah, so like in Adleaks, right? And like really great group, by the way, if you're listening, you absolutely should look into joining before they they're making it a lot more exclusive. Message me and I'll talk to you and we can see, because you need a referral if you're listening. So, but anyways, yeah. So, one of the things in Adleaks though that I've been seeing is like the really, really smart marketers, the people that I super respect, are always in there helping each other out. They all have basically said a version of what you said, which is it's all about marketing fundamentals. They're out there buying 60-year-old books on an advertising industry, like trying to like channel David Ogilvy and stuff, because they're like, yeah, platforms come and go, Facebook comes and goes, Google even will come and go at some point, right? Like, but like these fundamentals do not change. Human psychology doesn't change that quickly, understanding kind of like this process of buying and how people look at things and stuff. It's not, there might be more noise than there used to be. But yeah, it's not a fundamentally different thing than it's ever been. Would you kind of agree with that?
I know Maxwell did that post, on like I think like Aristotle and all those different, from thousands of
Yeah,
people.
Logos,
Mhm.
ethos, yeah, or
They're
whatever, a bunch
all
of
the
Greek words
same.
I can't say.
People see something, for example, like I don't know if you've heard of this new startup company, but it's an exercise startup company. It's called Tonal, TONAL.com. And it's like this revolutionary home gym. It's like a flat screen TV on your wall. And basically it's like a Peloton, but for weightlifting. And it has two arms on it and there's no weights, but it goes up to like 200 pounds. It's an awesome, like if you look at it, you'll basically be blown away. That machine can do like everything in your gym, but it fits into like the size of a TV turned sideways on your wall. I mean, they retargeted me for like 6 months before I finally bought one. And it was like a $4,000 or $5,000 purchase, but it was like I was like, it took that long on a purchase that big, which is probably a little longer than usual. I would say probably took 3 months, but like it's the whole mentality of if you see something so many times, eventually, you're gonna learn to want it or need it. And if you get that brand portrayal from buying something and you get that special feeling, like for example, my wife bought me a Louis Vuitton wallet for her birthday. Is there anything great about a Louis Vuitton wallet besides the name? No, you could probably buy $100 wallet that's the same quality for a eighth of the price. But it's like a status symbol, So they've built their marketing so good that people actually pay extra money for it, even though it's not that great. The canvas isn't that great. So you're paying for the name and you're paying for the status, which has been built up by really, really good marketing. It's not like an awesome product. It is. It's no better than a regular wallet from Walmart. It's probably worse.
That's funny. Headphones, like that. I bought one of those really expensive pair of Bose headphones, like the really expensive ones. And then I walked into Walmart the other day and just I couldn't find my headphones, and so I just bought an $8.99 pair. Best headphones I've ever owned. It was literally less than 1/25th of the price of the Bose ones.
Yeah, some things, I think that's not true. Like, for example, like Beats headphones. I've heard like people that are like hardcore. Like, I don't know audio. I don't know anything about audio, but like my buddy is like super hardcore into audio, and he says Beats headphones are like the worst headphones in the world. Like the quality, like for the sound and stuff, is like shitty. But like to me, my AirPods sound just as good as Beats. Whether I maybe it's because I'm deaf in my ears. I don't know. But some people like some things. I'm like Mac computers, for example. I'll pay $8,000 for an iMac Pro, no problem, because I know the quality there versus like a Windows. But some things, it's all about the marketing. It's all about the hype. It's how they make you feel, how they portray it, and they make you like buy into their kind of like lifestyle, I guess you could say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is oftentimes a lot about how the product like makes you feel, how you're a part of this community. I think I think that the best, well, one of the examples that I use, right, is kind of this like phenomenon of what I call like basically like social capitalism, right? And I'm sure there's like a more accurate name out there, but it's like basically like I can pat myself on the back for being a good person by buying a product that I already wanted. You know what I mean? Like, because it's part of like a social cause now, right? And it's like basically, if buying a product is like the easiest way, it's like the lazy way almost in some instances of like becoming the person that I want to be in a way. And if you can achieve that, if you can be like, hey, you're gonna be this person when you buy our product, like you win every time. Even if not everybody wants to be that person, the people that do will be all in no matter what. Would you kind of do you kind of see that?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement for sure. Yep.
No, it's interesting. So, I mean, we're fairly far off Google Ads, but I love this kind of conversation. I think I'm gonna
Well, let's jump
change
into
the
Google
subject.
Ads. Let's jump in there.
No, we don't have to jump into Google Ads. This is actually more interesting, to be completely honest. Yeah. So, like, how do you kind of see that sort of like branding? How does that start? Like, if you're no one, right? Because like everybody, we have strong feelings about Louis Vuitton, right? Or we have strong feelings about Apple. But how do you get that going? How do you start that if you're a small brand?
I think you go about it from like a direct response, like actual like marketing to be profitable, and you start building your customer base. A lot of people don't understand customer life. Like now we're going to start talking about delayed attribution and like, customer lifetime value. But obviously when you obtain a new customer, let's say your average order value is $100, all right, and you obtain a new customer and it costs you $20, so you got some $80 wiggle room there, right? Well, if you know on average every single customer you are going to obtain is going to do 3 orders at $300 lifetime average, now you're up to, okay, well, it took me $20 to obtain a customer that over a year and a half lifetime is going to spend $300. Now I'm profitable $280 minus all of my hard costs. So if you can like really, really narrow that down and look at it from a customer acquisition standpoint, and I think obviously as a startup, it's hard because you only have so much cash flow and so much money. But I think that's where a lot of people go wrong is they look at like Facebook as like day trading, stock trading. They don't look at it from like a long-term aspect of, okay, I actually, because it's only getting more expensive and it's only getting more competitive. And eventually people aren't going to be able to pay the smaller companies aren't going to be able to compete just because the prices. I mean, I'm looking right here at Adleaks at a complaint here from a guy by the name of Dimitri. My CPMs are so high. They're up to $50. Like I've tried everything. Well, that's because there's so many more people getting on the platform. Like, so realistically figuring out your expectations and going after this is, okay, I'm going to go after and obtain new customers. And we just did this with a big client. We spend on this client, we spend 6 figures a month on Facebook, just Facebook alone. And the biggest thing was like he was calling me weekly and saying, I'm not hitting 3x ROAS on a 7-day window. I'm not hitting, and I'm like, but yeah, just pull a 30-day. Look, you're at 3.7. Because of last click attribution, like yesterday we'll hit 2x, but then if a week goes by, it goes up to 3x. So people actually understanding, okay, like this is cold traffic, number one, and we're obtaining new customers, and they're going to come back 3 times and buy. And guess what? Once they buy and you have their email, you can email market to them. That doesn't cost you any money, really. It's basically free at that point. And if you know that person is going to come back, even if you can break even, and I tell this to most people, if you can break even on your marketing to gain a customer, you're doing good. Because you know that they're going to come back and buy again. So why wouldn't you want to just break even or make a penny? Obviously, nobody wants to break even. But if you could spend $100,000 a month and break even and just know on the second or third order they're coming back to buy and they're going to spend $100 and you don't have that hard acquisition cost, like you're golden on a long-term view. So I think people that are struggling with that don't understand delayed attribution, customer lifetime value, like looking at it from a long-term standpoint. I think they're worried about the now and not the future. And my question for those people are they really ready to build a brand because they don't understand that. They don't get marketing.
No, I really actually love that. And kind of one of the things I think is because, that's kind of gotten lost in that is like, how do you balance that like super performance focused with that kind of more long term focus, right? Because like you have clients. I had a client once who literally the day we launched, like 5 o'clock that night, called me and was like, ads aren't working. We got to shut them off and try again. Like, I'm like, buddy, it's been, it's been 6 hours.
You don't want to work with customers.
Well,
Yeah. Simple answer.
right, right. I mean, yeah, and that's fair. But I guess I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, how do you balance that kind of like short term, like metrics driven sort of approach with this kind of more long term, more holistic understanding? It's omni channel, understanding it's last click. Like, how do you find that balance in your kind of
I try to educate, so I really try to educate customers and like make them understand that. I have a really good client like probably damn near 100% client retention rate. I think in the last year or two I've lost one client, and actually he just came back to me and apologized because he flipped out on me about Amazon, some stuff with Amazon where he was wrong. He blew up on me and was like, "You're wrong, you lost all my orders." But that's another story. Like clients honestly are a pain in the ass to deal with. 90% of clients suck. We all know that. We hate them. We hate dealing with them. It's those 10% that get it, that understand that you basically want to bend over backwards and do whatever it takes for them because you know that you're going to have them for 20 years. The ones that do suck, which I try to vent, and I would say I'm probably not in that 90%, but I try to vent them pretty early, is just education and really making them understand, like, hey, do you know what last click attribution is? No. Okay. This is what it is. And then like showing them. So like if you're spending $100 a day, pull a 7-day report, send them the report, and it'll show, oh, we made $2,000 in revenue. Okay. Let 2 weeks go by and repull the same report. That revenue at $2,000 is now going to be 3,000. So really actually showing them and making them understand that approach helps them see that. But there's some people out there that you just aren't going to convince. And at that point, it's just better not to work with those few people out there that are that way, which it happens.
That's an interesting, so that kind of raises an interesting thing too, is like, do you think that there's kind of a minimum scale to like actually make advertising work? Because like you're talking like big numbers and stuff, which is good. Like, and you know, I do think that like, and I'm not talking about that extreme small where somebody's like, I have $50 for this month sort of like thing. But like what do you think? Do you think that it's like worth it to like be advertising on Facebook or Google or anything really if you don't have like at least, you know, 5, 10, $20,000 a month?
Oh, absolutely. I just signed a realtor today for 15. I just got, before we got on the call, I sold a realtor for $1,500 a month. Like 100%. Like if you want to grow, you're going to have to grow some of your client base. You can't just go out there and pull the big clients of the world unless you have something to prove. And for those getting out started, like most of my clients that I know are going to be with me a lot longer are in theory going to be your smaller clients. Like those are the ones that are going to keep the lights on, because yeah, I have a client right now that pays probably all my employees' salary and then some. But what if that client leaves? Like, what if that client just decides all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hire my own internal team because we're tired of paying Ignite Your Brand mid 6 figures a month or whatever? Well, guess what? At that point, that hurts. So having all of those little clients that add up. I mean, we have more little clients than we do have big clients, probably. And you make $500, $1,000 a month off of them, but we work a lot in local. I mean, we work with like a local Harley dealership. We work with a local couple Ford dealerships. Like those are the ones that the budget's so small that you don't have to be swapping out creative every month or every 2 months. I mean, you can run dynamic cold ads with a catalog, pull from the site. Like the workload that goes into that is really, really easy. And to prove the worth, if you just use something like offsite conversions, I mean, yeah, hey, we spent $1,500 a month, sold 9 cars for $150,000 in revenue. You tell me, is that good numbers or not? It's super easy.
That's true. So that's an interesting thing though, because like I've kind of had this weird experience, and maybe I'm just messing it up and you can educate me on this, which is like I've kind of found that like my biggest clients and my littlest clients basically require the same amount of like accounts work. Now the actual like ads work is obviously more with the bigger clients, right? But like that's heads down work, and that's kind of like a little bit easier to manage on my side with my team.
I think it depends on what it is. Like, so for like this car dealership, one of the car dealerships, I don't have to swap their ads out probably once every 4 months unless they're going to run a promo. I mean, you're running cold dynamic ads, right? So it's pulling the inventory. You suck in all that from the website. There's nothing to change on that. The retargeting, you run dynamic retargeting. Like, what is there to change besides maybe if you're wanting to go out and pull in lower CPAs and pull in lower numbers for like selling cars and going from like $90 a sale to like 80. So, I mean, like literally you don't have to touch those clients.
So just dynamic dynamic everything.
For those, yeah, for sure. But it just depends. I mean, like it depends on the niche. Like if you can use dynamic, obviously that's going to be better, but there's a lot of static stuff we run. Just it varies. So, but the bigger clients, you're making more money on them, and I shouldn't say it's less or it's more or less work. It's probably the same amount of work. And yeah, you make more money. But also, if you really hyper focus in on those clients and build your business around 2 or 3 big clients and one of them leaves, that's very, very detrimental. And I've experienced that with like agencies that I worked for in the past. Like one agency we ran, the biggest John Deere dealerships, I ran their lead gen for the biggest John Deere dealership in the world. We were getting paid huge amounts of money. But guess what? After a year, they saw what we did and they went and replicated it themselves and then built out their own internal team to do it. So, I mean, it happens. And if you get really, really focused on that, and then guess what? That agency that I worked for before I went on and started doing stuff on my own again, because I never really wanted to fully take the leap, like that hurt. And guess what? They struggled. And then It was like, hey, we're paying you way too much money. Our sales team sucks. We're not bringing in the sales. Okay, see you later. I'll go out and do my own thing. So the thing is just to be diversified with big clients and small clients, I think is where a lot of agents don't build your business around one person, because clients they're sketchy. They can come and they're going to come and go. And if you're really, really dependent on one, you better be damn sure that you have a really, really good partnership with them and really invest into them and make sure that they understand the worth that you're putting in, so they value the relationship as much as you do. But those clients are dime a dozen.
That's interesting that you say that. Kind of my best client that I've ever had started off as my smallest. And then just over a period of 2 years, he doubled his budget 5 times just because he saw it was working. And now he's one of my largest clients. and and we have a fantastic relationship also, right? Because it was from the beginning, educating, just talking to him about why I was doing the things I was doing, running through, kind of all of these different ways we can attack the market, right? And like, just to kind of explaining it in very simple terms too, of like, oh, think of this as like, kind of one of the analogies I use that works really well is think of me like a financial advisor, right? I'm going to tell you, you should have some Facebook, you should have some Google. Those are pretty reliable. But like, let's also like try like, some speculative stuff over here, right? And putting it into those terms, he really liked that. And so we were able to like, prospect new opportunities and things like that, which was really cool. But yeah, so it is interesting kind of to see how, it really, to me, I guess it comes back to a lot of the like relationship, right? Like who can you build, find those people that you can build a relationship with, and then the business will kind of come. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Yeah, 10,000%. Like if you ask any of my clients about me, they're gonna like. I approach clients as, again, I don't approach them as a client. Like I don't even like the word client. I like the word partner. Like we come in and we partner with your business. We're owner in the business, even though we're not on paper owner. We treat it as your business. If you have a business partner and you call them Saturday at 6 p.m., are most agencies going to answer their phone? I do. I answer my phone at midnight. I answer my phone at 2 p.m. 2 a.m. That's why my retention rate is damn near 100%, because if I want to get a hold of my business partner, and I have a question about something, they should be there to answer it. If you're spending someone's money, you should not be 8 to 5. Like that just shouldn't be. You shouldn't be 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, or even 6. You should be available for whenever they have questions. Especially, you might say, well, they're only spending $1,000. Yeah, they're spending $1,000, but their marketing budget is only 1,500. That's a lot of money to a small business. Are you really, really available, and do you treat it like it's your own business? That approach in itself is probably what segments me from like 99.9% of other agencies or other individuals out there. I work a ton. I'd answer my phone, and my wife would tell you she hates it. She almost divorced me over it. I'll answer my phone sitting at Christmas dinner. I was working in the labor and delivery room. I probably take it to another level, but that's why I'm able to go out and get, I don't run marketing. All of my clients are referral basis. I just got a referral yesterday from a lady that, she's $1,000 a month client. Send me $100,000 a month referral. Like, if you do the good work and you invest into those relationships, and you're not worrying about nickel and diming people, even though that you got to make money, but you put the effort in and time in and do a good job and you build that partnership relationship, the work 100% is going to come, because they're going to see that and they're going to refer you out. And I think that's what most agencies struggle with.
That's a really high level of dedication, and I think that a lot of people appreciate that. Kind of a funny story. I got fired by a client while my wife was at delivery. I think it was the shortest. They're like, "Hey, so we're just moving in a different direction," and I was like, "Okay, cool. Let me know what I can do to help with the transition. Bye," and then hung up.
Yeah. So why did they leave? Like in that case, what was the reason for leaving?
Oh, they like halved the size of the company, right? Like it was a startup that was failing. They couldn't find product market fit. And so it wasn't like me, it was like me as the consultant, and then like 2 weeks later the rest of the marketing department. So, yeah, it was kind of one of those unfortunate situations. I mean, you can't control everything, unfortunately.
No, you can't. No. But if you can get yourself in there to help influence those decisions, if you build that relationship where they actually trust you with your business, and they don't just come to you for Facebook, but they come to you for other questions, then there's that value of trust. So you can have somewhat of an influence on other things that could impact, your relationship, because you can help guide their business in just a omni-channel marketing way. Like,
100%. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah. This was a little while ago, and I'm not on your level, but hopefully one day. Just got to keep grinding, keep working. But uh, yeah. So kind of one of the questions I like to answer is like, what do you see going on, kind of in the marketing world in general? I guess that you just hate. You wish people would stop doing. Just like knock it off, go home, whatever. And I think you've kind of got like a fire hose line to this because of like the Adleaks and like kind of all the Facebook marketing groups and things like that. Now the Adleaks is actually really high quality. Adweeks has so much less of it than anything else, but like yeah, like what do you kind of see that you wish people would knock off?
do a little research for themselves. And this even goes to like some of these communities I'm in. Like, I don't know every single answer to every question. I know a lot, but even to like, you'll notice that I now respond to like basically every single question. I mean, there's no possible way that I can stay physically on top of everybody's stuff. But guess what? Somebody will ask a question. Like, there was one the other day that was specifically looking for a certain type of platform to do something. I typed it into Google and I had an answer in 5 seconds. Like, just Google. Like, there's so much wealth of information out there. If people would put a little bit of effort into learning instead of relying, you would get so much farther in life.
What do you wish that kind of people would do more of? What do you see that like is like what do you wish? Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of could have been both, but is there like a trend you see of people like stepping up and doing something that you really like and you wish more marketers would do?
Like one thing that I wish I would do, probably like in my own situation, would be like to start getting into other diversification of even more platforms. Like, I'm an expert at traffic generation. Am I an expert at Pinterest? No. Is it the same thing? Yeah, the metrics are the same. Targeting, it's using data logics and pulling all those things. Same thing with Snapchat. Like, I haven't ran a lot of Snapchat, dabbled in it, and a lot of Pinterest. So I wish people would, in theory, I guess I wish people would get more diversified and learn more omni-channel, learn Google ads. Like, the guys that are really, really good on Facebook would actually invest into time into building out their processes to learn Google, to learn SEO. I've had a lot of people like say, "Oh, I don't need SEO." Really? You don't? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? As soon as
It's
like
funny.
Facebook decides to just do something and that revenue stream goes out, and I think you might have seen me post about that in with one client. Like, one client, we were crushing it. 500, 600 spend a day, 3 to 4 grand in revenue a day. Like, we tripled their sales in 3 months, like from start to finish. Woke up the next day, boom, sales were zero. Like, we could spend $1,000 and couldn't even get a sale. And we spent probably $30,000 and probably were 1x, and it just shit went down the drain. Well, we were rarely really reliant on Facebook. I think a lot of it had to do with seasonality and not being diversified. Or Amazon does really, really good, but like, the Facebook just kind of something changed. We tested new ad accounts, new pixels, new everything. Can't revive it, so we had to cut our spend. Now the client's looking at me like, well, why won't this work? It's like, to be honest, I don't have the answer for you. We've tried everything. Everything we do works on every single ad account. Like, the only thing that I could think about at this point is this is a very seasonal product that is just so nice out. People aren't buying yoga mats.
No, that's interesting. I would say that I think that marketers tend to be really bad about being hype like driven. And I mean, mostly because we go out and try and make hype, right? But one thing is I almost find like the opposite of true is true. If somebody says something is like garbage, then like I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I suddenly become very interested. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna check that platform out. A bunch of people are saying it's trash, but it's still a
Sure.
functioning business. Like they still have hundreds of employees and like are making hundreds of millions a year. Like there's something there. Like and it's
Like
probably an
Twitter ads, for
underpriced
example.
opportunity.
Like, I don't
Go ahead.
like. Don't you run Reddit ads and Twitter
I
ads?
do. I run a lot of Reddit. I run Twitter. I run some.
Does that work?
I run some weird stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I've never even thought about running that stuff. So you do stuff that I don't do that, you could, I mean, I'm not some big dog here that's way bigger. I mean, you're doing things that I'm not doing that I probably should go out and learn. I wouldn't even know how to sign up for Reddit ads,
It's ads.reddit.com. It's pretty easy. It's actually like it's just principles based, right? And then you just learn the specific features of the platform. You test a few things out. I have kind of a principle that like I won't sell somebody something that I am not spending money on myself. Like to some, even if it's just a small amount, right? Like I like to have some level of skin in the game. And so it's, it is interesting. But yeah, no, I do think that like, yeah, those opportunities are really overlooked. So Justin, this has been absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. This has been we I don't even think we talked about Google Ads at all. And honestly, I don't even care. Like this was great. This is one of the best interviews that I've done. So I just want to say thank you. I know your time is extremely valuable and extremely limited. So I appreciate you giving it to myself and our listeners. Before we go, wanted to let you, kind of take a moment and pitch whatever it is that you want. And then I will let you be on your way.
Yeah, so some of the bigger things, obviously, we have our agency. If you're interested in anything, just reach out. It's Ignite, IGNITE, yourbrand.co. If you're interested in learning more, kind of what we talked about, great community, join adleaks.com, joinadleaks.com. Really, really good community, answers in seconds from some of the biggest marketers like myself and others that make me look small in the space and in the game. Latest tactics and things that are working. And then if you are a startup and you're kind of looking for funds to kind of take your company to the next level, my good buddy Sean Brown owns Go Venture Capital, and that is govc.com. And they basically do cash injections into companies to help them grow and scale that are having like cash flow issues.
Thank you all for listening, and happy marketing, everybody.